Welcome to the Explainer. So, let me ask you something. Have you ever stopped to think if your AI assistant actually understands you? I mean, really gets what you're saying? Today, we're diving into this huge question facing the entire AI industry. It's basically a choice between two paths. Are we just building really, really smart parrots? Or are we creating something that can genuinely comprehend? I mean, think about it. We use these things for everything, right? Drafting emails, winning arguments with our friends, summarizing dense articles we don't have time to read. We talk to them like they're right there with us, totally on the same page. But what if it's all just a trick? A really, really convincing magic trick? Well, here's the thing. For pretty much every AI you use today, it's not about understanding. It's all about mimicry. It's an incredible mimic, a master of imitation. And the secret to how it pulls off this illusion? It all comes down to its core design, its fundamental architecture. All right, so let's get into it. Let's pull back the curtain and see how this mimicry actually works. We're going to start with the traditional way AI is built, an approach that's based on what seems like a simple idea, but as you'll see, comes with some really serious problems. So picture this. You take an AI and you basically feed it the entire internet. It gobbles up billions of texts. Now, it doesn't learn what a cat is. It just learns that the word cat shows up a lot next to words like meow, fur, and purr. It's all about statistical patterns. So when you ask it, what's the capital of France, it spits out Paris. Not because it knows anything about geography, but because in all that data, those words are basically statistical best friends. It's like a superpowered autocomplete. And right here, we're getting a look inside the so-called brain of one of these traditional AIs. What you're seeing is a dense matrix. Think of it like a completely tangled ball of yarn, a chaotic web where every single idea is connected to every other idea. And this 100% density, this is exactly where the problems start. This tangled mess leads to three huge critical flaws. Okay, first, its internal logic is a total black box. I mean, even its creators can't tell you what dimension 45 actually means. It's a mystery. And that's why these AIs can hallucinate. They just confidently make stuff up. Second, because it's so crowded in there, each little piece of the system has to juggle fragments of about 163 different concepts all at once. It's a mess called concept superposition. And finally, the third flaw. Its knowledge is frozen. It's a snapshot from the day it was trained, totally clueless about anything that's happened since. And, the cost of this flawed design is just staggering. For years, the industry solution has just been to throw more and more power at it, make the models bigger. But look at this graph. The energy required to train these things is exploding. It's on an exponential growth curve, literally doubling every single year. It's completely out of control. And this has a massive real-world impact. We're talking about training just one major AI model. That process pumps out almost 9,000 tons of CO2. To put that in perspective, that's the same carbon footprint as nearly 500 people for an entire year for one model. This just isn't sustainable, not for the planet, and frankly, not for the bottom line. Okay, but what if this whole approach is just wrong? What if we've been trying to climb the wrong ladder this whole time? There is another way. So now let's look at a totally new architecture, one that isn't built on mimicry, but on the promise of actual, genuine meaning. So this new wave thinking is grounded in something called semiotics, which is basically the science of how we create meaning. Instead of just looking at statistical patterns of words, this model gives every single concept its own unique, universal identifier. It's like a universal language for ideas. But the real magic is that the meaning of that idea gets shaped and interpreted through your own personal context. And the absolute core of this new system is something called a token. You can think of it like a cryptographic serial number or a digital fingerprint for a single idea. So the concept of Paris, for instance, gets its very own permanent, unchangeable ID. This gives us a way to track and verify information with absolute clarity. No more guesswork. And what this does is create a completely different kind of AI brain. Remember that messy, 100% dense matrix we saw before? Well, this new system is the total opposite. It's a sparse matrix that is 99.75% empty space. And you might ask why? Well, think about it. In the real world, the concept of Paris has nothing to do with black holes, right? Most things aren't related. This design actually mirrors reality, and that makes it incredibly efficient because it only stores the connections that truly matter. And here's the absolute game changer. That massive, expensive, energy-guzzling training process, gone. It doesn't exist here. To add new knowledge, you just parse the information, compute the cryptographic tokens, and insert them into the matrix. That's it. It's instant, it's efficient, and it means the AI's knowledge is always, always up to date. All right, so now let's do a direct head-to-head comparison. Let's put these two architectures side by side. And when you do, the differences in how they handle things like knowledge, bias, and memory, well, they become crystal clear. And this image really just says it all. On the left, you've got the old way. Knowledge is frozen, it's biased by whatever it was trained on, and it's pushed down from the top. But on the right, you see a totally different model. Knowledge is always growing, it's continuous, and it's interpreted and controlled by you, the user. It's a living ecosystem. Let's talk about memory for a second. With the AI we use today, it's like it has total amnesia. Every single conversation starts from scratch. It has absolutely no memory of what you talked about 5 minutes ago, let alone yesterday. It's what's called an ephemeral context window. It literally can't build up any understanding of who you are or what you need over time. But this new architecture, it has a persistent memory. It remembers. It learns from every single interaction, creating this continuous, evolving understanding of you. It's the difference between having to introduce yourself to a stranger every single time you talk versus having a conversation with a friend or a colleague who actually knows you. Okay, and this has huge implications for bias. The old Mimicry model just soaks up and amplifies all the biases from its training data, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the meaning-based model, it completely flips the script. It allows for user-defined filters. This means you can apply your own cultural lens, enabling true diversity instead of forcing one worldview on everyone. And if you're still not convinced, just look at the numbers. They don't lie. We're talking hundreds of millions, sometimes over $500 million, just to train one traditional model. The new way? The training cost is basically zero. The energy use is negligible. One system is hitting a wall, limited by physics and cost, while the other is truly infinitely scalable. So you see, this isn't just some nerdy technical debate for engineers. This choice between mimicry and memeing is a fundamental paradigm shift, and it has profound consequences for our society, for who holds the power, and for whether we can actually trust these powerful new tools. I mean, look at this. The practical, day-to-day benefits are just incredible. When it comes to actually using the AI, what we call inference, this new architecture is 400 times more energy efficient. 400. That's what makes AI a sustainable, scalable technology that can be used by everyone, not just a handful of tech giants. And that's the real kicker. It completely changes the power dynamic. Right now, because training costs a fortune, only a few megacorporations can afford to build these things. Everyone else is dependent on them. But when you eliminate that barrier to entry, you decentralize power. Any organization, any community, even an individual can build and control their own sovereign AI. And as we start handing over more and more critical decisions to AI, in things like medicine, finance, even our legal system, this distinction between a mimic and a comprehender becomes, well, it becomes existential. Do we really want to bet our future on a system that's just a sophisticated pattern matcher with all its baked-in flaws? Or do we demand a system that can actually reason and trace every single piece of information back to a verifiable source? Ultimately, this is the choice right in front of us. Are we going to keep building AIs that are just mirrors, reflecting all the biases and limitations of our past? Or will we choose a different path, one that leads to an AI that can actually comprehend, an AI that helps us build a more diverse, decentralized, and better future? The architectural choices we make right now will absolutely define what that future looks like. Thanks for joining this explainer.